everybody. Welcome back to another week at Beyond the Trailer Park. Now, if anybody was listening to me on Holy Crap on Sunday night, you may have noticed that I mentioned we were going to be talking to a mythicist this week. Well, unfortunately, Mark, our mythicist, is under the weather, and we have postponed that till next week because, unfortunately, he has the flu. So we wish Mark well and a speedy recovery, and we will be talking to him next week. But so we decided to bring in some other folks that you guys haven't met before, which is cool. And as the title says, we're going to talk about anything but the fucking election. So done, so over, don't care because I can't vote. So fuck it. I don't want to hear anything about it. So tonight, we actually will have three guests. Two are here now. The third will be joining us a little bit later because he had a prior commitment. So first of all, let's introduce Steve McRae. Good evening, Steve.
Well, hello, hello.
Hi. And Steve, you are the owner of the Great Debate Community on Google+. And you also are the host of your own show on YouTube. You have your own channel.
Yeah, it's more of a channel than an actual show. I mean, I don't have any kind of set format that I do. I just run hangouts at random intervals to talk about some of the things that are going on in the Great Debate community, and just to provide a counterpoint to some of the dumb fuckery that's out there that we see that's prevalent just about everywhere.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us. And
Thank you.
We have Packard Sonic, who
Hey!
Hello.
Hello.
Has a couple of shows and his own YouTube channel as well. We've got Packard Pokes at Packard.
Yeah, that's if we look for Packard Pokes, that's a porn channel that we have nothing to do with them. It's Packard Pokes at.
And you also.
What's the address again for that one?
YouTube.com/Packard Pokes at. If you type in Packard Pokes ass, that's a different channel altogether also. So.
Oh yeah.
Now you tell me.
You guys haven't been on before, but you haven't been introduced to my water bottle.
Oh my.
It's actually is a water bottle that you can put water in.
I see. Okay.
So, yeah, but we'll talk.
I mentioned my other podcast really quick.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. It's called it's on iTunes, it's on Stitcher, and it's on Spreaker. It's called the Atheists with an S, the Bible and No Wardrobe. We actually read the Bible and we discuss it a little at a time, and it's a half-hour show, generally half-hour show, so you can fit it into your day.
Well, that's about as much Bible as anybody wants at a time, anyway.
Right, exactly. But I mean, yeah, we really dig into it and tear it apart. So it's actually kind of a fun show. Considering the fact is that we the material that we have.
Have you gotten to Ezekiel yet? Because that's like.
Yeah, we haven't gotten that far yet.
Ezekiel 23:20 is my favorite verse.
Okay, I'll try to remember that. Like I said, we haven't dug that far into it yet.
You'll remember Ezekiel 23:20 when you get.
All right. Oh, wait a minute. Is that the one about the donkey's dick?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
It took me a minute. It's like, wait a minute. That does sound familiar.
Oh yeah, definitely. Nobody ever does, pictures or Sunday school about that for some reason.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Oh,
I was never taught that one. When I was religious, I was never taught that one. I was like, wait a minute, that's in there? Okay.
I'm trying to figure out what Ezekiel is.
Ice cream. It's an ice cream.
I haven't read the Bible since, even done much twice when I was in grade school, so.
I can quote 23:20 for you. And she lusted after her lovers, whose members were like that of donkeys, and whose emissions were like that of horses.
Actually, I'm familiar with that one. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. And of
course, those emissions.
And of course, now that we've sufficiently embarrassed her all the way from Pennsylvania, of course, we have Beth. Good evening.
Howdy, howdy, folks.
And you know what? I'm going to knock on wood, but you're actually coming in clearer than the last 3 weeks. So
I've closed everything. I have nothing open. I can't get into Spreaker. I can't get into YouTube. Give it about 45 minutes and it'll clear up.
Yeah, it's okay. I've actually managed to get both chats open. So if anybody out there wants to talk or ask questions, go for it. So we didn't really pick a specific topic other than anything but the fucking election. I know Beth said you had a couple of things you might have wanted to discuss, and we've been yapping for almost an hour offline already. We are expecting our friend Atheist Ranger to join us once his previous commitment is up in about half an hour or so. So we'll talk to him when he gets here too. But to start with, yes, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, well, I'll just get this out of the way. It's just more of a heads up to some of those within the community. I don't know how many of you follow the anti-vax community and the goings-on there, but recently there was an article put out. It's from Australia, but a gentleman who was basically doxxed, for lack of a better word. But he's not Reasonable Hank. The anti-vax community in Australia thought they had Reasonable Hank and started doxing this person, calling his work, his family, his friends, etc., etc. But it wasn't Reasonable Hank. They basically docked a completely innocent person, and they don't give a flying fuck.
Oh, no.
Okay, and yeah. And he is in contact with the police. One report I've read, basically the police aren't interested. Another report I've read is kind of iffy, so legally I don't know where this stands. But this person had to change his phone numbers. Thankfully his work, and he works at a hospital, sounds like they've been pretty kosher, but it scared his 14-year-old child. Oh. It scared his wife. It scared his family and friends. And this is the Australian anti-vax community network, I believe. AAV is their initials, but I'm not doing it to call them out specifically. But we in the atheist community, in the secular community, we've gone through this. We've had some of our websites taken down, Atheist Republic being one of them. We've had many in the ex-Muslim community get attacked via, cyberbullying. These nut jobs, whether they're anti-vax, theists, whatever, creationists, Kent Hoban. We were just talking about that. But these nut jobs are getting desperate. They are losing, and they are losing big. They are losing their hold on controlling what we do as a society. They're not free thinkers. They're not skeptics. I'm skeptical. Yeah, you're skeptical of your own self is what you are. But it's getting dangerous. And, I follow Reasonable Hank. A lot of us do in the vaccination community, or pro-vax, pro-science, whatever. And I like his stuff. Granted, he writes from Australia, but he calls out a lot of people, as he should. Mm-hmm. And do I know him? No. I just know him through his writings. But these tactics that are being used are just insane, and they're stupid. There's real people behind these views, and whether they're posted on social media, whether they're posted in magazines, newspaper articles, whatever, we can criticize their beliefs, which Deb, Ashley, and I do on a weekly basis. We have no qualms. I have no qualms smashing a religion. But I will not attack a person. I will attack that person's religion, that person's beliefs. I mean, we made fun of new presentation. When was it? 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
I wasn't attacking the gentleman. And by the way, I do have that gentleman's home address and work address. But if you notice, I didn't publish it.
Absolutely.
One, because I wasn't sure that I had the right guy. Imagine that.
Yeah.
But these people went out of their way to publish. They actually did a, quote, news alert on their website, their Facebook page, saying, harass this guy. They told their little minions to harass this guy, call his work, call his home, call his family, and they are proud of it.
And what do they hope to accomplish? Like, do they think they're going to change his mind, or, you know, that negates everything that he may, if it was the actual person, you know, is that going to negate?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, as anybody knows that's ever been in a debate with somebody that has opposing views. In my case, in Deb's case, it's anybody that's a creationist. Deb's case, primarily more so than mine, is anybody who may be Islamic. Whether you're a creationist, I mean, we all know Robert Beatty from our shows. I mean, he is trying to debate Robert Hoban. We have a debate coming up this week.
Yep.
One of our show regulars is hopefully going to be debating a presuppositionalist.
Looks good.
You know, so, but it's fine. We can debate the ideas behind those things. But just because we don't agree with the ideas or the ideology does not give us a right to go out and cyberbully, and in some cases physically accost. I do know people that have been tracked down physically and accosted on the street by anti-vaxxers, primarily. I don't know of anybody in the theistic community or the atheistic community that's happened to, but I do know some ex-Muslims that have had that happen. I mean, we all know the stories. I mean, people debate the ideas, don't debate the person. And that's the thing. I mean, it drives me nuts, because the more I've been delving more into the medical issues, because as everybody knows, you know, with my stroke, it's kind of tapered off, but I occasionally get bullshit stuff about, oh, quit your statins. It's like, no, I'll keep my high blood pressure medication and my high cholesterol medication. I prefer not to have a third stroke. Thank you very much. Yeah. But I'm hoping after, and this is the only election notation I will make, that after tomorrow, it will taper off a bit, because 2 idiots will be hopefully gone from the public spotlight. So, but debate the issues, people. Yeah, debate the issues, people. Don't debate the people.
It's like what
that's what happens is people don't debate the issues, and if they can't debate the issues, they have to resort to bullish techniques and fear mongering and that kind of stuff.
That's exactly what was happening on. I had some winners on my wall this week, in case if anybody follows my wall. Beth, did you see some of that bullshit? I posted a story, and if anybody ever follows my wall, one of the things that I post articles on, because it's important to me, is the abuse of children by religious nut jobs. It happens way too often, and you know, I try to be pretty equal about it, but whatever the stories come up is what comes up. So, you know, 2 or 3 days, like earlier in the week, I was ragging on Catholics because, you know, they support the largest pedophile ring in recorded history. And I even got into a debate with some Catholic in a group, and, you know, he was telling me I was sinful and was going to go to hell. I'm like, are you Catholic? Yeah. Don't you think it's a sin to be supporting the largest pedophile ring in recorded history? And it's not my fault and blah, 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 whatever. But I posted this story about a Muslim woman in the UK who beat her child to death because he would not learn the Quran fast enough. And in all the other parts, like when it talked about what kind of a child he was, they said he was like an A student. And, you know, obviously did well in school, but this particular thing just wasn't good enough for the bitch. And she beat the child to death over a 3-month period, which is horrible. And that sort of stuff needs to be publicized, because that's what religion does. And I said, this is another example of, quote, your brain on religion. Or I think I might have said on Islam, but either way.
Yeah.
Specifically saying that it's the religion that twists people into doing horrible things like this.
I'm really confused on the Louisiana State's position here, because we were talking about.
It's different, though. It's different. We'll get back to that one.
Okay, don't forget, because I thought that was you're leading up to.
Nope. This is different. So I post this, and first there's some guy, and this is like a friend of a friend, and my page is 100% public. Like very, very, very rarely do I ever make something a friends only post. It's almost exclusively public. And this guy was like, where's the story about some other religion with this problem? And I need to say that doesn't exist. And if you are, then you're just, you're what was he saying? You're trying to cause problems and you're evil.
Yeah.
Like,
well, what I found so funny about that response is, like you said, obviously he hasn't been following what you post because, like you said, you post a lot of it. I mean, a lot of the stories I got before I stopped blogging about it was from your timeline, and it's like, yeah, you post quite a bit about the abuses that children go through because of religion.
Exactly.
It was
funny, bizarre. The one thing he's like, well, this is the first time. I was like, you haven't read my feed, obviously, because I was ragging on Catholics yesterday. Like, what the hell's the problem? And he's like, oh, am I supposed to do a thesis level investigation of your profile before I post? And my first thought was, well, duh. But I said, you don't have to read anything before you post. But if you do that, you have to be ready to be told you're wrong and accept the consequences. Which, of course, then he started. Once he got over that part, he was like, oh, well, you're being inflammatory by posting this because, Islam is being picked on globally. And I'm like, no, this is what happened. I'm not being the bitch who killed her kid is being inflammatory, not me. And sort of he never had the balls to say it, but he implied that I was being Islamophobic. And then some other woman comes along and is like, oh, I agree with you. And there's no reason to post this unless you're trying to cause issues and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Like, no one gives a shit about the child who was killed. It's all about... it's giving Islam a bad name. I don't fucking care. A child was beaten, and they're trying to say, well, it wasn't Islam. She had the woman was like, I've been a mental health professional for 30 years, and I can say that there's psychosis involved. I'm like, no mental health professional, let alone a mental health professional, would give a diagnosis of anybody based on a fucking news report. I'm sorry. So
yeah, and over the internet, and I could throw the anecdote in. Well, I've gone psychotic 3 times, and I haven't killed anybody yet. It doesn't mean jack shit.
It doesn't.
Like,
you're like, well, if it wasn't Islam, she would have found some other. We don't know that. She specifically said this is why she beat her child. It's like the people. It's like the people who go, when Daesh/ISIS, I prefer Daesh, but when they say we're doing this because of Allah, and somebody says, well, they're not really doing it because
they're not Islamic.
Oh, so
your reaction reminds me. I think it was just in the past week, the Southern Poverty Law Center has put some high profile, in my opinion. I think Ayan Hirshali is now on that list. High profile ex-Muslims on a extremist ex-Muslim list. And I'm thinking, now I follow Southern Poverty.
Not even that. Not even just that. They put Majid Nawaz, who is still fucking Muslim, on an anti-Muslim extremist list.
Yeah, I mean, and I follow Southern Poverty Law Center, and this is where you know, I love some of the work they do. Some of their work is very questionable, just like with, you know, sometimes I love Richard Dawkins and other times I don't. You know,
don't have to agree
and
with
this is where you
everything
have to.
McRae says.
Oh no.
Yeah, but it just kills me because I watch. This is gonna sound funny. I watch your wall for comic relief because some of the reactions people have to some of the shit you post, especially concerning Islam, it's comical because it's like, didn't you have one woman react to that same story where she was basically, you would post your typical question about child rape, you know, fucking a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
And they were okay with it. And it's like,
oh yeah, it was a dude. Yeah.
Okay, I might be confusing the two scenarios.
The gentleman won't know, but I like to debate Islam a lot in Facebook groups, and my argument of choice deals with Quran 65:4, which in shorthand says that, you know, it's okay to have sex with a child as long as
Muhammad had a child bride, right?
well, yes, absolutely. And the Quran 65:4, it's talking about divorce. So there's one verse, because they're okay with divorce. So there's one verse that says, if a woman gets divorced and wants to remarry and she never had sex with her husband, she doesn't have to wait. She can go get remarried. There's another verse that says, if she did have sex with her husband, she has to wait 3 menstrual periods because, of course, they want to make sure of heredity. This is 1,400 years ago. It's the only way they could do it. So then somebody went to Muhammad and said, well, wait a minute, what about women who aren't menstruating? So 65:4 says, women who you believe are past their time, so menopausal, just wait 3 months. Women who are already pregnant, obviously, they have to wait till they deliver, and then that's fine. And those who have not yet menstruated have to wait 3 months. What that means is that is a prepubescent, non-virgin child.
I heard about this just the other day, as a matter of fact.
And I debate this all the time. And then, of course, they end up bringing up Muhammad and his 9-year-old bride, blah, blah, blah. And I was debating this guy. And let me scroll down and I'll get you what he said. Exactly. Here we go. So he's telling me that I'm misinterpreting this verse, right? And I, again, in like caps, I'm like, put the thing out. It's like, it says those who haven't menstruated, explained it again. And he says, if a girl, now this guy, English is not his first language, but he says, if a girl is in 9 years old and she has a bleeding, you can fuck her because her vagina is ready to fuck it, okay? And I said, before bleeding, like in using his terminology, that is what this verse is saying. And he goes, where is wrong here?
Well, there's so many things wrong. One for all, it sounds like he's a troll, but you know, women who can menstruate at many different ages. I mean, the youngest they ever get pregnant was somewhere around 5 years of age, and the youngest grandparent is around 9 years of age, give or take. So there are instances of very young women becoming very quickly in the pubescent menstruation. So, you know, when you have something that's implicitly, I should say tactically, implying that any woman who's not reached that age of menstruation yet is eligible to have sex or be married again because all they have to do is wait 3 months, you can take that to mean anything. You can take it to be any age. And then therefore they can get away with saying, well, you know, yeah, she's 5 or something, but she hasn't menstruated yet. She only has to wait 3 months or something. It's kind of a weird thing that I've seen in the Islamic thing. But my question mostly is, why is Islamophobia necessarily a derogatory term?
That's a good question.
I don't really necessarily see the term to be that derogatory. It is divisive, don't get me wrong. But there is reasons to accept that Islam has problems, has issues. And I'm not ever going to say that all of them are in the same category. They're good Islams as well, but there are some bad ones. And
it's a phobia is an unreasonable fear, though, or an unfounded, right? So, like, if I'm phobic of spiders and I've never been harmed by a spider, then that's unreasonable. I think
Right,
that's
but we have been harmed. There has been harm by the Islamic communities.
right.
It's not,
Right.
It's not an unreasonable fear.
Which is why the word phobia doesn't apply. We have legitimate reasons to be afraid of them. A phobia is an unreasonable fear.
Well, I think some of that argument too goes to the whole notion of arguing the idea and not the person, because you can't be phobic of an ideology. You can be phobic of an individual.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's where the line is drawn. If you're saying you're Islamophobic, you're being phobic of an idea.
I think you can be phobic of an ideological position. I mean, if I say I'm a fascist, then I'm like, you could be fearful of me because I don't want that kind of ruling in our government, right? I don't want fascism to take over. I'm fearful of that happening. Maybe that's the way that we'll look at it. You're fearful if we became a predominantly Islamic society. I'm fearful of that.
All right, you're taking the context of taking the idea and making it a solid object in this instance. It's
Correct.
Just an idea.
Yeah.
But the fact is, you didn't have to be afraid of an idea. You can be afraid of the person enacting the idea.
Right. The idea itself has no solidity, right? The idea is just doesn't have existence. Right.
And I think that's where the argument lies, is in the idea versus solidifying the idea of somebody with that type of thinking coming into power.
It's the ramifications of the idea.
Would not want. Yeah, and that's where I think they draw the line. I mean, I have quite a few friends that are, well, I have a couple that are still Islamic, or consider themselves Islamic, and I have some that are ex, and I'm afraid of neither, just because as a person, as an individual, I know they're rational human beings. I don't agree with the fact that my friends that are still Islamic are Islamic, because even they admit the ideology itself really has no merit. I think they're more borderline than anything. I won't say they're leaning towards atheism, but my one friend converted from Catholicism to Islam, which I thought was rather bizarre, but but her and I have good conversations. She knows I'm an atheist, and I think she's burning on a line. But I'm not afraid of her. I don't like her ideology, and I've told her that point blank. She has no problem with it. But then you have extremists like Daesh, and all bets are off there.
Well, what these people on my wall were trying to say was that I was being incendiary towards Muslims as people by posting this story about the woman who beat her child.
Well, they need to get over it.
Exactly.
You need to get over it. You're not being incendiary. You're stating your opinion and the facts. I posted a
fucking story of something that happened. Right? It's like, I'm not being incendiary when I post about fucking Catholic priests that are getting away with, all the shit that they get away with. It's no different. But what they were saying, well, Muslims get picked on globally, so you shouldn't say that. I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah, well, there's no safe space on the internet. Okay,
no,
let's keep in mind. There's no safe space on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to be out there, you're going to get exposed to these types of things. And people trying to shut you down because you express something, they don't need to be part of the conversation. But let's be realistic here. If you're on a bus and you hear somebody yell, "I love Jesus," you're just going to look at them kind of weird. You're like, okay, whatever, be happy. But you hear somebody yell, instead of going, "Allah Akbar," you're going to fucking hit the deck. You're going to get off the bus. Okay, let's be realistic. Anybody says otherwise, you're lying to yourself. Okay, let's be realistic here. So there is a difference here. There is something to be concerned about.
Absolutely. And
did I say that right, by the way? Allah Akbar.
Allah Akbar.
Like assalam, I know.
But the thing is, they were basically trying to imply that I was inciting violence toward individual people because I posted this, which is utter bullshit. And neither of them had any concept, even like I explained, look, I am being critical of an ideology. I blame the ideology for what this woman, like I said, this is your brain on Islam. I believe that it's entirely possible that woman could have continued or was or maybe a good mother, but Islam worked her brain into thinking that she had to do this in order to be what she thought a good mother. And if you read between the lines, what is she saying? She's saying, look at me, I'm a good Muslim because I can raise a pious kid, right? She's kissing up to
Yeah, it's no different than what the Word of Life Church did in New York when they killed the one kid and severely injured the other. And, I mean, if you would have posted that story on your wall, which I think you did back when it happened, but would their reaction be the same? Because that is, as you say, what your brain is like on religion. Would it be any difference to post the story about the woman who beat her child with a coat hanger? Not when was it? 2 weeks ago? That story's no different. That is a woman, and I do believe she also had psychiatric issues, but that is really, in my opinion, is besides the point. She beat her child because of religion, because I think, if I remember correctly, he didn't learn the Bible fast enough.
Same deal.
Would they have complained there? Yeah, the exact same deal.
No, they wouldn't. They're sitting there, they're looking for privilege for Islam that they don't deserve, because an ideology doesn't deserve any respect. You know, like the person who, you know, if a Muslim person came to my door and said, you know, I've had an accident, can I use your phone? Yeah, no problem. Right? I'm going to take I might not let them in the house because I don't normally let any strangers in the house, but I might go outside on the deck or on the porch and call the police for them, or let them, you know, call their family or whatever. I'm not going to be a dick because they're a Muslim. But if somebody is walking around, like what happens in Europe, if I'm walking around my own fucking town in a tank top and shorts and some Muslim tells me I better cover up, oh, are they going to get a fucking earful, right? Before they even get off the sidewalk. Because
people tell me that all the time for different reasons. It doesn't matter what religion you are. You don't want to see me walking around a tank top, I assure you.
But, you know, like, that's the difference. They're trying to foist their ideology on me. And in that case, we have a problem. But if you're just a Muslim living your life, I don't give a fuck. I'll treat you the same as the Christian, the Jew, the fucking Mormon that I see on the street, whatever. You know, that makes no difference to you because you're human. But your ideology is shit. And I will tell you that your ideology is shit. Like, until the end of time.
Well, it's the whole special snowflake appeal that Kim Davis tried to use last year. I mean, it doesn't matter what religion. It's, you know, it's your special snowflake or your religion or your anti-vaccine or whatever you want, your anti-creationist stance. Because of it, you should get special rights. It's like, no, the fuck you don't. You don't have a right to tell me. I'll use the Kim Davis. Like, one of my biggest fears is with the religious nut jobs. Some of them want to execute me. Well, want the government to execute me because I am gay. You know, some have gone so far to even say that about atheists. That bothers me.
I should be. There are people out there want to kill me. And he tried to claim that other atheists want to kill me too. It's like, how do you figure that? Because the fact is they don't believe in God and I don't believe in God, so therefore they're going to kill me over it. I don't think so.
Ken Hovind advocated for it.
Yeah,
really? He especially said so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hovind, Kevin Anderson, Swanson, Huckabee, Ted Cruz, Rick Perry, Michelle Bachmann, Sarah Palin. Should I go on?
I'm sure Manning is advocated twice too. Our Starbucks latte fiend there. I think he said it more than once too.
Yeah, they all have in some way, shape, or form. Some may have not used those exact words, but implicitly or explicitly have implied that.
Exactly.
In some manner.
Exactly. Well, and talking about the special privilege bit, now we can get over to what you wanted to talk about, Steve, was the article about Louisiana, that news story. For those who don't know, earlier this week, the Louisiana Supreme Court decreed that priests do not have to expose child abuse. And that's special privilege because they're going, oh, well, you know, priest penitent privilege, yada, yada, yada. Like, it's specifically privileged. And
that'll go to Supreme Court. That won't hold.
Yeah, I don't understand the reasoning on that, because what they're trying to say is that the Catholic priests are not mandatory reporters, and mandatory reporters is very simple. Just anybody that's in a position where if you have knowledge of a crime, you have a special duty and obligation to report it. Okay, so not everybody has a duty to report crime, but certain people do, and they're putting priest in that category so people can have the confessional. But the problem with that is there already been rulings that if somebody's aware of a crime, and you're a priest, then they can break confessional. They have a duty and an obligation at that point to actually report the crime. So they do have a mandatory reporting in that regard. So I'm not sure where the Louisiana Supreme Court is getting this from, and I do think you're right. If it goes to the Supreme Court, I think it'll get overturned. There's no way they can make this into a...
Well, my suspicion is that the Louisiana Supreme Court, like the Alabama Supreme Court, is pandering to the religious right. Mm-hmm. And one of the leaders in this whole mandatory reporting bullshit is the Catholic Church. Pennsylvania, where I live, just recently had a debacle in Altoona, and also I believe in Philadelphia, where some high-profile stories have come out about past priest abuse. And similar to the Rhode Island incident at St. George's. And it's basically the religious right, specifically the Roman Catholic Church, the U.S. Roman Catholic Church, let me rephrase that, is behind this giving priests special rights because they know they're going down. Up in Minnesota, I believe, if I remember correctly, one of the dioceses up there is specifically declaring bankruptcy, so they do not have to pay out awards. The courts are aware. The courts are aware of this, but there's nothing. They're having a hard time dealing with it.
Well, and the example that was given in the story about Louisiana that sparked this legal battle was not even a priest that was an abuser. It was a 14-year-old girl who confessed to her priest that she was being molested by another member of the congregation, and that priest did nothing for that child. So that child was left to endure whatever else was coming from this asshole abuser, because the priest was just like, oh, well, it's not my problem. I don't have to say anything, because they, I'm pretty sure it was a man, and they didn't want to, cause problems in the congregation. Who the fuck knows what stupid reason they had? But how dare you let that child suffer because of your own quote morality that you think you have? That's the thing.
I think.
Yeah, and the church.
A moral obligation, I believe.
And the thing that really pisses me off with the ones that have been caught and prosecuted and that they've admitted were a problem, they do everything in their power to prevent supporting the victims. Where they've said, oh, we'll pay for counseling. I've read of all kinds of cases where they'll decide after, 4 or 6 weeks, oh, well, that's enough counseling for you, and they won't pay anymore. Or like parishes that will say they're bankrupt or shift money around so they don't have to pay compensation to these victims to get their lives. It's like they're fucking them twice. It's unreal.
Yeah.
Makes me
Yeah,
wonder.
and the thing is, I know we rag on the Catholic Church about this, but we've also brought it up in the past. This is not just an issue in the Catholic Church. The Jehovah's Witnesses have their own debacle going on right now. Scientology does as well, I believe, in Australia.
Yes.
And basically, it's this whole special privilege bullshit. And it really came to fruition last year, I think, in my opinion, is with the whole Kim Davis affair. And the only thing I can think of, I haven't read the stories about it because I've actually been avoiding anything religion related, especially abuse with children. But I'm wondering how much Peter Kreeft and Robert P. George are behind this. They're two very Catholic supporters. One, George actually actively supports Roy Moore in Alabama, the recently deposed Supreme Court leader there. So I'm wondering how much of this is mirroring what's going on in Mississippi too. Because I mean, they are, like you said, they're protecting the abusers, and one of the ways they do protect them, and there was a major story last year about where they shift these abusive priests down to South America.
Yeah.
I mean, get them out of the jurisdiction, or they'll shift them to another country that doesn't have a ideal extradition treaty with the U.S. Or Australia has a horrid problem with it as well, with priest abuse. It's just
when we were talking to our friend Phil, who's an ex-Jehovah's Witness, there's a huge deal with that going on in the J-Dubs too. And it's because they want to, quote, deal with the problem internally, because they think that, airing their issues amongst the outsiders is just, you don't do that. And I'm sorry, but fuck your church. Kids come first.
Yeah. Well, that's the key thing. In every kind of thing, the welfare of a child has always been paramount. And even though there's confidential information going on to a priest, right? And I understand the sanctity of the confessional, but even if for a doctor that's suspected there's some neglect or abuse going on, he has an obligation to report this.
Yes.
And they have to put the safety and the welfare of the child first. And even if the priest had no legal, even if the Supreme Court, the Louisiana Supreme Court says it's not a legal issue, I think they're wrong, and I think we'll get turned. But hypothetically speaking, even if that's the case, he was morally duty bound.
Yes.
As a priest to protect the child. That is what it boils down to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yet they'll argue we have no morals, or we have no justification.
Yeah, we're the ones.
Atheists don't have morals? What the fuck am I doing then?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see what a justification would be. I mean, that's just absurd to put the confessional ahead of the safety of the child.
Well,
I mean, that's not a system that works.
No, and not even.
Remember.
And it's not just putting the confessional ahead, but it's always putting the abuser ahead, because they're always going to, well, if they confessed, I can't say anything. Or if you say to me that, Uncle Bob is molesting me, I can't say anything because it's yours. And
anyone know Bob molest me? I'm just don't
yeah, but you don't have the same duty, right? You don't have to. You're not in legal reason to report anything, especially if you don't think you could substantiate it, because they might cause more damage than good. Because if you actually accuse somebody who's of a crime that's not that guilty, you're going to do a lot of damage. You need to put your eggs in a row there and dot your I's across your T's. You got to know what you're doing. But for a priest to have a 14-year-old, tell him that, he I think has a duty to do so, to bring to somebody's attention, and much more than the average person.
Well, he would be covered under the Good Samaritan law anyways.
Well, yeah, but it's not more of a legal thing. It's the Catholic Church thing, right? It's the Catholic Church saying, well, you can't bring confessional. So it wouldn't be the Good Samaritan laws per se. It's the Catholic Church going, oh, you broke confessional. She told you this in private. Well, fucking who cares? It's a crime. You're allowed to get involved in crimes in confessional.
That's right. And any other mandatory reporter in any other circumstance, if they did that, would be prosecuted for not disclosing a crime.
And by the way, it's only if you think the crime is going to be committed again, if I'm not mistaken. You're not obligated to say, hey, look, I robbed a bank. The Catholic priest can't go say that, hey, this guy robbed a bank. He can't do that. But if he says, I plan to rob a bank tomorrow,
right,
then he can.
Well, and actually now in Canada, it's a little different. There was a case that just came up last week, right around where I live. They uncovered, if you guys are familiar with the term, an angel of death serial killer.
Of course.
Who had been
Familiar with that one.
This woman had been operating less than an hour from me for at least a decade, if not long, no, 20 some years. They know of 8 victims and they're looking into more. But what's unique about this case is how she was caught, because she was battling addiction and was in a treatment facility. She confessed to the killings in treatment in a mental health facility, and they reported her because they had to.
Mhm.
And that's the way it goes. And she was no longer offending because she had retired. She was a nurse. She had retired for 2 years, but didn't matter. She confessed to killing 7 people, and they reported her. Boom, like that.
Good.
Yeah. Hey, and just joining us is our friend over here, the Atheist Ranger. How's it going?
I'm going good. How are you? Sorry I'm late.
Hey, Atheist Ranger. How you
Hey,
doing?
buddy.
Packard, how are you, man?
Oh, I'm doing well.
Yeah, sorry I haven't been around much, man. I think for the past 2 weeks I've had the flu. And I just got over it.
That sucks.
You're stalking me again, aren't you? AR.
I wish, man, but see, you are a handsome man, though. I'll give you that.
It's the beard. I'm doing the Christmassy, the Santa Claus thing this year.
I was gonna say something, but I didn't want to feel like it was like,
You know what? He reminds
Hey, I
me
remember
of
when I didn't have all this. Trust me.
you remind me of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Steve.
It's the wisdom thing.
Steve,
Yeah.
you're our only hope.
So, Ranger, we were just talking about the story out of Louisiana, where the Louisiana Supreme Court has said that priests do not have to report sexual abuse or crime or abuse anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, that was tonight's topic, actually. And didn't manage to talk much into it, but I was talking about this is yet another reason why we should fucking tax churches. Because if they're gonna stick their hats in the political ring and they're gonna pull this shit off where they think they deserve special treatment, they deserve to get fucking taxed. Period.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm all for that. I'm for removal of a tax. Yeah, their tax shield. Sure. I mean, when Church of Scientology gets tax exemption, something's wrong with the system.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, it's broken.
But you know how that came about, right? How Scientology managed to do that?
I follow Clambake.
Yeah.
There you go. Clambake, that's Tony Ortega's website, yes. But yeah, they basically drowned the legal system in frivolous lawsuits until they came out and said, okay.
There was also more to it than that. They actually got them some people actually on the inside on that as well. So
yeah.
They were doing it from the out and from the inside.
Oh, I think the IRS caved. I think that was bulldozed through, and I think you're right. They probably did have people on the inside, but it never got looked at. And most countries don't recognize it. I think America does for some strange reason, but I think it's what Germany doesn't recognize them, and there's quite a few other countries that don't recognize them as an actual tax exempt church.
Australia just de-recognize them, I think.
At least they're still not on
I think Russia did.
At least they're still not out at sea killing people if they don't like them. They don't. You didn't work hard enough, so we're going to toss you over the boat in international waters.
Well, the problem is they have so much money.
Yes, they do.
They can lose members from now for the next decade or two and still be solvent.
No, I'm not talking. I'm not talking about them losing members. I'm talking about them killing somebody.
Oh. Yeah, we don't need you anymore. We don't need your money.
No. I mean, they would. This is what they would do: is they would actually take people. They actually originally started out on a boat. They would go from port to port to port, and if they're out in the middle of the international waters, if they kill somebody, who's gonna know? Who's gonna say anything? They'd say, "Hey, you say anything, you're gonna be next."
Yeah, they're like going, man overboard. Oh, they didn't hear us. Let's keep going. Man overboard.
Scientology is some freaky ass shit.
It is. We have a couple of ex-Scientologist friends of the show that we've done 4 shows on it now. In fact, our most popular downloaded show on the podcast side is to do with Scientology. It's
Really?
Yeah, it's some freaky ass shit. One of our friends was in for 9 years. And how long did Peter say he was in, Beth? Peter's kind of an
I think
20 odd years, and he actually
I think.
Yeah, he got declared suppressive fairly early on, but then he somehow or other convinced them to let him open a mission and started recruiting ridiculous amounts of people so that they gave him a reward while he was still declared suppressive. So yeah, it's some crazy shit. Crazy.
I think Atheist Ranger would like to say something, so go ahead, Atheist.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, this is just about the podcast I was previously on before I came in here. This Friday at 3 p.m. Central Time, which if anyone in here is on the East Coast, that's 4 p.m. The Atheist Republic, myself, Casper, and Ali, we will be having an hour-long discussion with the one and only David Silverman of the American Atheists.
Nice.
Oh, excellent.
Yes.
Dave is like one of the best guests ever. He's so awesome to talk to. So good job. I'm a huge fan of David Silverman, especially when he's on Fox News. I've had the pleasure of meeting him twice, and he's done the show with us, and he's just wonderful. So good job. You'll really enjoy him.
I've seen him be a guest on Helena Handbasket had him on. He seems like a nice guy. I don't agree with him on a few things though, but he seems like he's a genuine guy. Just points I don't really agree with him on everything, but he seems really nice.
I met him
on my show sometime.
I met him at it was the very first atheist conference in Nashville I attended in March. And there was a section in the middle where instead of like one speaker for everyone, they had sort of little workshops that everybody could go to. And I came through to the main area where there were vendors, and David's just standing there yapping to people. I'm like, well, screw the workshop. I'm going to go hang out with him for a while. So I hung out with him for like an hour, and I was talking, whatever, and I gave him my card, and I just said, I have a show, here's my card. Oh, when did you like to do it? I'm like, okay.
Wait a minute, you have cards? Wait, I got to write this shit down.
Yeah, wait a minute, where did it come from?
Card.
Yeah. I have to handwrite my name and mail it to people. Hey, you know who I am? Come on my show. Come on my
I
show.
write it on my hand and I show it to them, and then they try taking my hand. I was like, wait a minute, I need that. So
it's called networking, Packard. You should try
networking. Oh, that's what I'm doing wrong.
That's how we had him at Meta on about last 4 or 5 weeks ago, and that's how I went to see him speak. Here's my card. I have a show. Want to do it? Okay.
See, I can't get Atheist Ranger on my thing anymore. He never comes around.
I can't afford to join. I can't
It's
afford
always
to
full, Steve. That's why. Your hangout's always full every time I want to come in.
You're saying that just because I have a full hangout. I would drop somebody for you, just to let you know.
Okay, well, I'll keep that in mind next time you have a hangout.
I'm like, get out. I don't need you. You're too quiet. Marshmallow, packing peanut, whatever.
Oh my
Okay,
God,
okay,
I was
I know
looking
that.
at some of your videos today, Steve. I wasn't watching them.
Nobody
6 hours,
nobody does either.
dude? Holy fuck!
What's that?
Steve, you did a 6 hour hangout?
hours?
Oh, yeah,
Damn.
no, oh yeah, that's easily. I've done 8
I mean,
hours.
they're like
times.
2, 3, 4 hours.
Yeah.
Some are 6. I'm like, oh my God.
Well,
I said to Deb, and I hadn't. I
was
said,
asked
I'll
to make
have to
them
listen
shorter,
to some
so.
of this.
She wanted to listen to you and was like, whoa, I don't think I have time.
I got a lot of content. Yeah, I was asked to make them shorter. I try to keep them down to between 2 and 3 hours now, but there are some more open hangouts that will go 6 to 8 hours. They're not my more watched ones.
It would be a one that I would like put on while I was trying to fall asleep or something. But it's like, oh, I mean, you got some of the content that I did see. I mean, your topics sound intriguing. Like you have a lot on creationism. You had our hopefully to be guest for our debate. White Mike is on. You've done who else was on there?
I had Hugh Ross on a couple weeks ago. The astrophysicist.
Oh
Hugh
yeah,
Ross.
I did see that, but it didn't register.
Yeah. Hugh Ross was on. Buzz Rana. He was on. He's a biochemist.
See, Beth would enjoy that. I'm not so much a science person. I'm a history nerd.
Hey, watch my video on G-Man. That's the good one.
Okay.
Because I do make my own videos.
But
It's not just Hangouts. I do have original content that's not Hangouts. But my most popular one is G-Man's video because he's just so stupid. It's funny. Just sit there and have some popcorn, drink some beer, and watch that video and go, thank God I'm not this person.
So,
I think that about most.
So you would just you do a regular Monday night thing too, right?
Me?
No, Ranger.
Oh yeah, he's his Friday. No, you Friday or Saturday, don't you?
On the Atheist Republic, yes, that is most time. It's usually every Monday, 9 p.m. my time. It's usually probably like 8 p.m. Central Time. I don't know where you guys are at. So, but yeah, my personal hangouts are Friday and Sunday.
Yeah,
That's what my show.
I'm honestly trying to get my lazy ass up and actually do my own videos, but I'm just lazy when it comes to doing videos.
a lot harder than people think it is. Like I've oftentimes have done 6 to 10 minute segments for the show, and even that, some of those can take anywhere from 5 to 10 hours to do.
Yeah, people don't realize it's time consuming, right? I mean, even a regular video that takes 15 minutes can take 4 hours to make.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as people think.
This is why I like live, because I don't have to do any of that editing shit.
I don't have to do anything in these live things. I can just sit here and look pretty.
Exactly.
Yeah, try editing when your mouse hand doesn't work properly.
Yeah, that's a little frustrated with that.
Or you have a computer that's slower than dirt.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm on a 8088 computer. I got a VIC 20, man. Just wonders.
That's my.
Holy crap!
That's
like,
my.
Days. That'll take a month just to process a fucking goddamn 1 minute.
Upgrade from a Commodore 64.
I went through.
Don't get me started on Commodore 64s.
They were
I went
computers.
University on a Commodore 64, and I loved that machine. But when you have to do a 30-page term paper and you have to stop every 3 pages to save it and start over, it gets a little tedious.
And you didn't have disk drives on those.
Yeah.
You only had tape drives.
Yeah.
No.
No. They did. They eventually come out
This
5 and 4.
way, they didn't have personal
Later.
computers yet when I went to college.
I had an
I
Apple.
went ERS-80.
I went back to college a couple of years ago. I went back and did some courses in one of the local colleges, and I loved freaking out the youngsters by wow, I went to school before email. What? How did you
How did you survive without email?
I'm loving this. I can sit in my living room and to hand in my paper at 4 o'clock in the morning in my fucking pajamas and not even leave because I'm a procrastinator. I always hand in everything at the last minute. When I was in university, you had to stay up all night and drag your ass to the class at 9 o'clock in the morning to hand in your fucking paper. There was none of this, electronically submitting shit and telling the kids, I'm like, yeah, we didn't have the internet when I went to school. What?
Well, do you remember the day we had a acoustic modem and you had literally like a telephone receiver and you had to take it and you literally sat into the cradle. It was a 300 baud acoustic modem.
Yes.
And people are like that. No, you could never get online that way. I'm like that's how it was. You took the cradle as acoustic. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you would sit there and the phone would literally talk to like the other.
Yeah.
300
Just
baud.
don't
Oh
ever
my God.
mention vinyl LPs. They look at you funny.
Well, not so much anymore because it's becoming like a hipster thing.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't even know what LPs are. Sure, I'm an
Yeah, you
8-track.
forgot where I live. Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I
But
had
you
like
gotta
Masters
remember
Reality
where I lived
by
with Dad.
Black Sabbath on 8-track, and people were like, "What the hell's that?" I had like
Oh.
Houses of the
I
Holy on 8-track.
wore out
That's-
8-tracks. I had several 8-tracks, and I wore out every fucking one of them.
They broke so easily. They got all messed up, and yeah.
Yeah.
You talking about
I
cassette
kept
tapes?
listening to them over and over again.
Well, Atheist Ranger's he's like 12, so he doesn't have any idea about
It's like
any of this stuff.
8-track. What the hell are you talking about?
No, I mean, are you talking about like cassette tapes? Is that what you're talking about?
It was a
No.
cassette tape. No, it was. It was a
Okay, it was a cassette cartridge. It was a cartridge, yeah.
yeah, it was like
Oh.
a gigantic cassette tape, but it was on a single one loop, and it would have like 4 or 5 different tracks on each one on that same tape. You put it in and click down one level.
I mean, the cassettes I grew up with, you just had like 12 songs on it or something.
Yeah, but the thing is, the difference is that had a reel to reel. This is a single reel. It just goes in and out of
it's
it.
a continual loop inside there, right? There's two things.
Gotcha.
You can play it forever. It's on
And there was no backing up. If you missed the song, you had to go back and click over again.
Rewind didn't exist, right?
There's no rewind. There is no rewind in 8-track.
No.
Damn, good times.
Unless it eats the tape, and then you've got so.
I feel so young right now.
Oh.
For silent, my daddy had an 8-track player in the pickup truck, and that's where I listened to Elvis. I still like Elvis because daddy had it in the 8-track in the pickup truck.
I had a Muntz 4-track. I had a Muntz reel-to-reel 4-track player.
Ooh, that's
Would have been classic. Now they kept it. You know.
Yeah. But Ranger, if you saw an 8-track, it would look like a giant game console cartridge. Like a giant,
Yeah, I think Atari 2600.
yeah.
Oh,
Slightly
gotcha.
bigger
I
than
see
that,
the picture
actually.
now. Yeah.
And that's what you played music on.
Yeah.
God damn, I feel so young right now.
What are you?
We feel so
10?
old. Thank you.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, why are we on the show again? Dang.
I'm 25, good sir.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
25.
25. I was 25 years ago.
I think I have
Wait.
clothes older than that.
20
You're
years.
50?
No,
God,
I'm,
damn,
close
you're
to it.
40, dude.
I'm actually closer. I'm actually 45.
Yeah, he's just really bad at math.
Oh, I was about to say.
I'm just bad at math.
I was like, you
Packard,
look 50. You
He's
look
younger than
40.
me.
I don't look 50. Fuck that.
No, I was gonna say, you look damn good for being over 50, but now you said 45. I'm like, okay.
No, scoot 40. You look like 35, dude.
Thank you.
See, I'm only a little older than you, but I look like I got a decade on you right now.
A couple decades on me.
Yeah, a couple decades on you.
Packard's got a year on me, so that I don't feel so bad now.
Hey, you know what? You still, as long as you don't look as bad as Matt Bell, you're good. Right?
Oh, okay.
That's yeah. He still claims he's 49. I
Living
don't-
I didn't do it.
Yeah, he claims he's 49. I don't believe this. I really don't.
Oh, there's somebody else in the chat here says they're not sure what an 8-track is either, but
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they
Google's your friend.
Y'all is
it's
like a
not.
genius.
They typed it in as A-track. No. It's not A.
Oh,
It's
8-track. Yes, 8-track.
It's
The
8. It's a loop.
Yes, as
Yeah, 8.
It's
the number.
it's like the forever loop, only upwards, not sideways.
Infinity.
All right, who remembers
Yeah.
8-inch diskettes?
Thank you very much.
8-inch floppies.
Oh yes. Oh
They
yes.
still use those. They still use them actually in the government. I've heard. They still use them.
How about when you had to rent the Laserdisc player in order to rent a movie?
Oh,
Yeah.
Pioneer Laserdisc.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you had to handle it like this, like it's on the side, just like, oh my God, don't look at it or it's gonna break.
They're so they were crappy design. There's a Pioneer Laserdisc and then the RCA disc player, and they were both shit. They both didn't work very well. But I think the Pioneer worked a little bit better. But it's kind of like Betamax and VCR.
The only reason why the only reason why the 8-track, the digital, the laser disc started in the first place was just to watch Tron. Anything else, there was other.
porn.
What porn? There was no late 8.
Yeah, I don't think there was. I think you had to get like a hard R, and that was your porn. You had to, like,
I gotta tell you, if they had made porn for the laser disc, that would have fucking probably taken off then, because porn pushes the industry.
Now, but listen though, the first laser disc that I ever remember vividly was Excalibur, and that's the first time I ever saw a fucking scene in a movie. Ever.
With the rape scene?
Yes. Now, of course, he doesn't take his armor off. And having become a historical recreationist later on, I'm like, that's not fucking happening. But, you know, when I was like, I don't even know how old I was. I was like, I don't know, 13 or 12 or something. I'm like, they're having sex kind of thing. And
My
those,
first one was ABBA. Listening to ABBA.
those laser discs came with like a plastic cover, right? So you'd shove the whole thing.
Yeah. You shove the whole
they were
thing in,
cartridges.
it would shoot out the plastic part, and then you'd set it aside. And then it had double sides. You had to, and if you wanted to watch the other half of the movie, you'd say, okay, stop, and then you'd have to shove it back in, and then it would flip, and you'd have to flip it around or something.
The caliper was so long, it came with 2 discs.
Yeah.
Well, think about this. When our children grow up, I have a daughter who's 11, and when she reaches my age, she's going to tell people what compact discs and DVDs are, and they're going to be like, what the hell's that?
Yeah.
I don't
Exactly.
even remember last time I've used
Well, CDs are still a thing, kind of. I mean,
They
still,
won't be 40 years from now.
No,
They're
right.
Nope.
CDs are already out of my life, and I don't even, like, we have a whole bunch of DVDs. I can't even remember the last time I looked at one.
Yeah.
Like, they're just collecting dust.
DVDs are kind of still a thing. Like if you have a game console machine, because a lot of game console machines still use the DVDs. And
Right.
it is a DVD. Let's not kid ourselves. It is DVD, which is still based on CD. It's the same size.
I'm really surprised that people don't know what an 8-track is. I'm actually kind of like, I was just kidding, but I mean, there are actually people who don't know what an 8-track is. Wow. I do feel old.
Some people don't know what a reel-to-reel machine looks like either. So
Oh, fuck, those things.
I had a full-size reel-to-reel, actually. I actually put Stairway to Heaven on it backwards.
Yes.
I did try it.
could you
Here's my
imagine trying to edit doing that thing? Doing that
Oh,
with
God,
that like that?
No, no.
Oh,
Horrible.
Yeah, like splicing.
I've had a
Remember?
splice. No.
I took for a short time. I took a radio broadcasting course, and we actually had to learn how to splice tape. And
Yep.
it's like,
Yeah, you had a little thing you put it in, and I think you had to cut like a 45-degree angle,
Yeah.
and you put the tape under. And,
special tape to put over the top of it. Yeah.
right.
If you
Okay,
were
we're
lucky
old, dude.
Yes,
Fuck,
we are.
we're old.
to- we're old.
Yeah.
And the pencil and the cassette thing, and yeah.
Yeah, put that on your resume. You know how to spell
I know how to splice.
Yeah.
tape.
They're gonna go, oh, you're a gene splicer. No, tape splicer.
Oh, you know genetics. Yeah. No. Tape. Tape. What
Tape.
the hell's magnetic tape?
Tape. Who edits tapes anymore?
Yeah, no.
That was actually a line from the movie. Oh God, if I remember, who edits tapes anymore? Then you know the one with George Burns.
Yeah, that was like what, late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Atheist Ranger is going, what are you talking about? What movie is that?
Yeah.
Who's
No,
George
that was
Burns?
John Dillon was in the first one, wasn't it? No, it not. It was what the heck is his name?
John Denver and George Burns.
John Denver.
was in
Thank
the-
you, John. Yeah.
John Denver. Oh
Yeah,
God.
it came
Yeah, John
out
Denver.
in 1981, my junior
Wow.
year of high school.
Yeah. I mean, I remember.
think
I
it was
watched.
81. I want to say.
I remember hearing
And
about
then
that.
was it 78?
Yeah, there's Oh God, Book 2, and then Oh God, You Devil.
Oh yeah. Those are good movies, actually.
Yeah, they were good movies. Very good movies.
Yeah, considering the topic subject, I was like, I actually enjoyed them.
They were good. They were good. I think George Burns did an excellent job in all 3 of them. They're good popcorn movies, even this day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The third one was really good when he's like going against Satan, and in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
But they did it really well, right? I mean,
Yeah, it was I thought it was really well done.
Well, you got to consider who you're talking about too. George Burns.
Yes.
The guy was a consummate actor. Plus, his timing was impeccable with his one-liners.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a huge Burns and Gracie fan.
Now, the opposite of that, being a good movie about God, has anyone seen Ray Comfort's new movie?
I saw some of it.
No.
I
What
saw
a
some.
segue, Deb.
I know of it, but I have not seen it.
I've seen some. I've seen some of it where with Hugo and Jake they did a
Yes.
review.
Yes.
And I'm thinking about doing a review of that on my channel as well at some point.
I sat down and I watched
This sucks. There you go.
thing. I watched the whole fucking thing. Well, no, that's not true. At the last 5 minutes, I couldn't take it anymore. I had to turn it off in the last 5 minutes.
I you know what? You have my sympathies and condolences, because there's no way I can sit through that shit. I can't do it anymore. I just can't.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing, and that is an hour of my life I will never get back.
Yeah, I'd be a drooling motherfucker. Okay. Yeah, I can't stand Rand Kepfer. I think he's one of the most duplicitous people out there. I think he's even worse than Eric Hovind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's even worse, she was messaging me parts of the movie, and I'm like,
I'm not watching this.
I mean, yeah.
Well, since I've got 4 atheists here, let me ask you, what is this vitriolic thing that theists have? I mean, I've been in the community for a very long time, and I've been on YouTube watching the community and leaving comments for many, many years. And I've noticed that the atheists in the G+ tend to be like, okay, let's discuss this, and we explain why we don't like this and that. Fine, but the theists get their bitter, vitriolic hatred. It's like they find out you're an atheist, and they're like, you're Satan. I've never seen such a weird dichotomy there.
I
think a lot of it is that they're losing power.
Yeah.
And it's coming from the top down. Basically and I'll use "our" loosely here, our battle against creationism is challenging authority, and they see their authority as the ability to control society. So you eliminate creationism, and I've said this a couple times on prior shows, that you eliminate creationism, you eliminate the authority of the Bible, and they feel threatened by this, especially those within the Reich. They lose their power. You look at people like Ted Cruz and Mike Huckabee and Rick Perry and Bachman and Palin. We can call them extreme, but that's becoming the mainstream now. And the more power they lose, the more vocal they become, and they take that hatred, and it's become very nasty hatred, and within some groups it gets violent. And I think that's what it is. They're losing their authority. They're losing their control on us, and they don't like it.
And not to mention, they're losing like pretty much the social war, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yes, all of the things that they say are icky, nasty, and need to be laws against. We're all, they're losing it all now. Right now in America, there's this like mad grab to try and hang on to whatever they can, and that's why you see those ridiculous laws in various states that are trying to restrict abortion and things like that. But you come over here, man, and all that shit's a done deal. Like I always laugh when I get some Christian going on and on about marriage, gay marriage, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, asshole, we've had marriage equality for a decade now, and we get way fewer natural disasters than you fuckers do. Like, we virtually never get natural disasters up here. Nothing is blowing up. No one's tried to marry a dog yet, and no one's going to.
I can't marry Wolfie?
No, I'm sorry.
We love each other.
But we love each other so very much. Always waiting for me at the door when I come home. Can I lick my face?
The last prime minister we had was actually a religious fanatic, and he fucked with science because we've never had a problem with that before, and he got away with it. But even him, as fanatical as he is, knew that he couldn't fuck with abortion and he couldn't fuck with gay rights, and he didn't. He never once tried, but he went behind and tried to fuck with science and climate change and all of that. And as soon as we found out about it, you know what we did? We said, get the fuck out, buddy, in massive quantities, and that was the end of that. And we haven't seen hide nor hair of him in a year. And he was prime minister for 12 or 13 years, because we don't have term limits. So he was prime minister for a long time. He got kicked out in impressive fashion. No one's heard a damn thing from him in a year. Not a peep.
I think that evangelicals are losing their power base. I bet I completely agree with you on that. Now, but the term creationism, I maybe it's just me. I use the term creationist to be specific to young Earth creationism, because that's what I do a lot of my channel. I fight against young Earth creationism. I have no problem with old Earth creationists, theistic evolutionists. You know what? If that's what they want to believe, I take no qualms with them, because they at least accept the science. Young Earth creationists, they're so batshit crazy that, of course, I'm vehemently going to be going against them. So when I use the term creationist, I'm referring to young Earth, and I do think they're losing as well. But it's not just the young Earthers, they're not the young Earth creationists in the G+. It is basically a mixed mash of people. They're all evangelical in a way, but all of them seem to have one thing in common. They want to focus on atheists. They want to focus on this hatred they have toward atheists, and it's really kind of surreal. There's not that many communities out there that do a lot with just generally atheism. I mean, I know it's not like atheists are out there proselytizing. Right? There's shows like yours, and there's other things that talk about it, and the Atheist Ranger has one, but they're not sitting there basically saying, look, if you're not an atheist, you're going to be going to some atheist hell, right? You're not going to be condemned if you're not an atheist. I don't think that's the position you guys take. But they do. They basically say, anybody who's against them literally is against God, against Christ even. They've even go so far to say this the other day, that if you don't agree with them and you insult them, you're insulting Christ. And I'm like, boy, that's arrogant. So have you guys been noticing that as well? I mean, am I far from what my
no
my claim on that?
Not at all. And I'm gonna bring up our favorite evangelical G-Man. You especially see that in fucking G-Man. I mean, how many people?
Nuts. I think that guy needs to be on medication.
Well, yeah, he's an entertainer, right? I mean, I will concede that G-Man, a lot of his bullshit is just because he wants to be entertaining, and he does a decent job sometimes at that. I don't think he believes half his own bullshit.
But he should learn how to juggle. If he wants to be entertaining, he could go to juggle and get on the circuit.
Well, what's so funny? He's always saying like, well, a lot of people think I'm not the smartest person around. Well, G-Man, there's a reason for this. Okay, just take the hint. Okay, seriously. It's not a coincidence here.
No, but the part of it too, though, I think is Steve, as yourself as an agnostic, they see you as less of a threat because they think that they can still convince you.
Yeah, I'm the biggest threat they've got. I mean, I've had more hate video against me than a lot of people. By G-Man, Nephilim Free, True Empiricism, Johnny JKCF, whatever.
You want to hear something? You want to hear something really funny? You want to hear something really funny? I make a lot of videos on atheism and stuff like that, and they post up on my channel. The one that has the most hate and the most hits is the one where we talked about a haunted house being destroyed. A haunted house. And we said, basically this guy is probably a scam artist. He destroyed it because the fact is that, he didn't want any looky-loos coming in, finding out all this crap that he set up and found out how it was done so he could be discredited. And I get more hate on that one video than I have on any of my videos. It has over 1,500 views just on that one video. I'm like, damn.
The Indianapolis house.
Real butthurt people on that one.
Well, now you'll get this. Beth and I and our other co-host, she's not able to come tonight, but the three of us at all different points have all been ghost hunters at one point. So
shit, really?
Yeah.
Really?
You're talking.
That's a whole other show. I want to go there.
Wait a minute. I'm going to adjust my settings here, and I'll just make myself a little more luminescent for you.
Where were you when I did my thing on Halloween? You should have came and we were having ghost stories.
I could have told you a lot of fake ghost stories, I tell you, but the end of the line for me, I did it for about 4 years. I was with a pretty cohesive group. We had a hotline, the whole 9 yards. We produced our own video episode things. We even had a booth at the local psychic fair 4 times a year. And now I approached it a lot differently than some of the other people. There were people that really believed that they could talk to spirits and whatever. We had a guy on the crew who was into physics, so he was always the one going, it's a bug on the film, it's not an orb and all of that. we had equipment, like we had thermal imaging. We had our science guy worked for a company that creates artificial intelligence for camera systems. So we actually had an AI running our camera network. And we went to, if anybody's ever heard of Waverly Hills, it's a tuberculosis hospital in Louisville, Kentucky. It's enormous, supposed to be one of the most haunted buildings in all of North America. You know, they're like, oh, something happens constantly, blah, blah, blah. There were 10 of us. We paid $1,000 to spend the night there with one caretaker. And what do you think we found?
Nothing.
Poltergeist. Well, you know, it's funny you say you paid that. I've asked people the same question. Would you stay $1,000 for $1,000? Would you stay in a majorly haunted place? And I've actually had people say no, and yet you actually pay to do it. I'm like, well, shit, yeah, for $1,000, give me a sleeping bag. I'm okay with it.
I mean, so 10 Canadians drove down to Louisville, and we did it in it was August. Yeah, it was summer. So we drove down from Louisville to Louisville in the summer, and we paid like $100 a head to go and do this. And I mean, I loved because I'm a history nerd, right? So we actually, some of us went to the Louisville Historical Society before, and we did some research on the place. And it was a great trip, but it was the beginning of the end for the entire group. Like the group imploded like 4 months later, and it doesn't exist anymore. But
do you think a lot of them saw what they wanted to see, or they maybe people kind of psyched themselves out?
Absolutely. And not even just seeing what you want to see, but hearing what you want to hear. Because the group I was with, they came up with what they called EVPs, which is the supposed voices on
electronic voice phenomenon.
Yes. And then I learned about something called pareidolia. And,
Oh yeah.
I was like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
And also pareidolia is not just a visual thing; it's an auditorial thing too.
Yes. Yeah. As I said, it's slightly different from apophenia, which people get confused though. When you're looking for patterns when it comes to stimuli, visual or auditory, that's pareidolia. But apophenia is any kind of pattern recognition, and I find that to be creationists do that a lot. They try to find intelligent design advocates the most try to find pattern recognition, and that's apophenia.
And we even did a thing because, like I said, we produced our own videos of various investigations that we had done. And the founder of the group who produced these, he was really big into the EVP thing. And so the first 2 or 3 videos that we put out, he would like put in the video caption what the EVP supposedly was. And then we decided at one point that we weren't going to do that. He put an insert into the DVD saying, you know, don't look at this until you've looked at it, kind of thing. And you know, I even myself being familiar with some of them, I watched it and I was like, I don't hear what they're saying I should be hearing, you know, because I listened to it and I'm like, what am I listening for? Mm-hmm. And then when you read the card of what was supposed to be said, then you go listen. Oh, well, now I can hear it because you know what.
The brain's very powerful.
And that's called matrixing when you know ahead of time you're going to hear that. And for me, that was kind of sort of the beginning for me. Like I would listen to EVPs and stuff in various venues, and I don't hear that well to begin with, but I hear very well in the bass level. So theoretically, I should be able to hear some of these EVP. I couldn't hear jack shit, and I would get really frustrated. But where Deb got more into the investigation area, I was more into the metaphysical BS that they spout, the whole psychic phenomenon, and I was especially drawn to their notion of what they call demonology, because I, in my past, have had dealings with Bob Larson and with the whole botched exorcism. In fact, I'm a survivor of one back in my college days, back in the 80s. And so that's where I led it. And for me, because I was an atheist when I fell into this, it basically reminded me too much of a religion. And if you've ever been involved in a cult-like situation or religious fundamentalist, evangelical situation, leaving that position, if you've been an anti-vaxxer or a 9/11 truther, they've all faced this, and we see it within the Jehovah's Witnesses specifically, is the shunning. And when I started questioning things, I started experiencing that bullshit. And it was about 6 months later when it started, when I was at a very low point, and that's when I got sucked in, just like they do with religion. I had a psychotic break mentally. I was not fit. And basically I was looking for answers for something that had happened because I had no rational explanation. And I just kind of fell into it that way. But then I began to realize towards the end that this is just like a religion, and a lot of them use religion in a very twisted way to justify their positions.
Yeah.
And the more I started delving into that aspect, and that's when I got into the whole Genesis 6 giants and Nephilim, and I began to notice the whole conspiratorial mindset behind it all, and how dogma-filled belief in the paranormal is. And for me, I find it very, just as damaging as any religion or any cult.
That's pretty indicative of cults and religion in general. Is the fact is that they see that you're at a weak point in your life, and that's when they swoop in and grab your ass.
And I don't even think the people that I was involved with even realized what they were doing, because I don't hold any animosity as far as, because I don't think they set out to do this. It's just what they believe. And, some of them profess being and you'll hear the term, "Oh, I'm spiritual, but not religious."
I've heard that. I always question when they say that.
And I even fell into that for a while. I mean, I very nearly became in fact, Dave Foda met me at the tail end of it. It's really mind-blowing, because it's very cultish in their thinking. I mean, you have people like J.C. Knight's, one example, if you've ever followed any of her work, Sylvia Brown, John Edwards, James Van Prague, the
Tricia
Indiana Demon House.
Oh yes. Yep.
The Indiana Hell House that you were speaking of, that what's his name? That he bought and then destroyed, and the whole reason he did buy it. That actual case is actually one of the last ones I wrote about before I took my break from the religious bullshit after my stroke. It's so, I mean, and I know Joey Chin, I know some of the big names in business, and it's so disheartening. Like, I have one friend who's now gone off the radar, literally, who I watched go from a author of a, we'll say, speculative book on You Can Survive Armageddon. I watched him go from about 30 followers on Facebook to over 500, and in my personal opinion is a complete fucking nut job.
Yeah.
I have watched this belief in conspiracy theory and all this stuff just totally. I have another, I'll say, acquaintance. He's not really a friend. In fact, I commented to Deb about it the other day. He's gone from just your everyday kind of truther type guy to just totally bizarro. And that's what, religion to an extreme can do to a mind. It's just watching these people literally disintegrate in front of you. It's very disheartening.
And
Yeah.
then the ones that are participating in some of the stuff that are they're stable and whatnot, that aren't, you know, going down the way that she's talking about, but they're the exploiters, right? And it's ridiculous, you know. There was somebody on my friends list. It was about a year and a half ago. Her teenage daughter went missing. And now, thankfully, they found the girl and everything's fine and whatnot. But she had, quote, psychics contacting her on Facebook, you know, trying to say that they could help find this child.
Oh, God damn it.
Biggest scam there is.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing,
I hate it when those people pop up and say, oh, let me help you find your child and shit. The fact that they do fucking more harm than they do good.
Absolutely.
They're predators. They're predators.
Yes,
Absolutely.
they are.
yeah, and
You know, the thing is, though, some of these people actually believe their own bullshit. They are actually, so they bought into their own narrative, and it's like they think, some people, they think they're doing good by, it's like, oh, let me help you. I'm not going to charge you anything.
I know.
The low price of $0, I'll come out and give you advice that's not relevant
Like,
to anything.
for instance, when we used to have the booth at the psychic fair, because then we're surrounded by them, there were kind of two camps. There were the people that we kind of figured knew that they were scammers, and they hated us because we did have a level of investigation and a little bit of science with us. Like our science nerd, like, he didn't believe, you know, he was super skeptical and he didn't really believe any of it. And so they hated us. But then there were the ones that we realized they truly believed that they could do this, and they truly believed that they were helping. And from what I believe, that most of them are just so good at cold reading that they don't know that they're doing it. And that's why they're able to do this. And they really, you know, if you told them that they were hurting people, they would have been mortified, most of the ones that I knew. But those people loved us, like, absolutely loved us. So, you know, and they went out of their way to ask for their booth next to ours, because, I mean, let's be honest, we were kind of popular because everybody loves, you know, this ghost shows and all that shit.
I thought you were going to say everybody loves Raymond. I was like, wait a minute, no.
We didn't have a Raymond, no.
well, I think
Go ahead.
to drive home what Deb said, I think another point that kind of made me really begin to question things when my literal sanity started coming back was that I was a witness to a cold reading that went really wrong.
Oh, really?
And it nearly, very wrong. It nearly destroyed the person that the cold reading was for, who was a friend of mine. And I knew as it was going on that it was wrong. I mean, just so wrong. But at the time, I mean, I couldn't really say anything because it just was not, I mean, you're talking two mutual friends here. I mean, you know, over Skype.
I hate being put in positions like that. It's like, yeah, dude, this is wrong, but, you know, just destroy the, feel like you're
they're really
both ways.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't worried about that because the damage was already done, but there just was no proper way to approach it without letting it happen and then fixing it or trying to fix it. Thankfully, I was able to fix it, but I sat there and thought, you know, this is somebody that I admired at the time, who helped me with my abilities. Ooh, we won't go there. But you know where I'm going. But I was in such a state of cognitive dissonance because I had two very opposing views. Because I know at the time, and if you look on my Facebook profile, my actual name behind it is Sane Spirit. And I chose that name because I am bipolar. I have issues with bipolar. I've struggled with it for over 25 years now. And you know, when you have that psychotic break, that delusion of grandeur, it does really wonderful things to your mind. Not. And I was stuck in that state, and I was just coming out of it, so I was one fucked up little puppy. So I was trying to balance my atheism at the time with this newfound religion, and it just wasn't computing, and it was just causing more and more problems, to put it mildly, to where eventually, as I said, certain things just finally pushed me over the edge, and one of them being is the so-called claims to demonology. And you know, if you know who Bob Larson, OE of the Skype exorcisms now, and
I've heard of him. Yeah,
that
guy is such a fucking scammer.
Yeah.
He goes back to the original 1980s, early 90s satanic panic with Mike Workney, Jack Chick. Thank God he's fucking dead.
Oh, I heard about that. I was like, Jack Chick.
I have a background in evangelical. I came out of a charismatic background, and I actually went to college for Bible and theology. So, I mean, I was knee-deep in this shit for a long time, and then I became an atheist, and I always kept an interest in the whole satanic panic and Satanism and all that because of my experiences. And when they started broaching on something that I'll say I knew the truth about, I started having even more. Certain things, like from a religious aspect, just didn't compute. And that's how I got out of it. And thank God I did, because I'm watching from the outside, and it's just, they're destroying themselves.
For me, the whole thing with that is like, because I became an atheist at 17, and I've been a hard atheist from day one. But what I could never let go of was the idea of people that had died that I wished that I could still be with, right? And so as I got older, and I sadly experienced a whole fucking lot of people dying, I got to this idea where, well, maybe there's something to it. Like maybe we don't understand all of how the brain works, and maybe there's some science behind it, and you know, we just don't understand it yet. And so to me, I was being open-minded, right? And
that's when the brains fall out of the floor.
Yeah, literally.
A little too far.
I don't mind. I tell people, I say I'm open-minded, but not so open-minded that my brains will fall out if I tilt my head.
And I went a little.
And that's what I felt like.
Yeah, and the thing is, theists will often, I can't speak tonight. Will often pull that. Well, you're just being closed-minded. Well, and some aspects, there's nothing wrong with being close-minded to bad ideas, and religion in itself and things like that is a bad idea. And if I just open up my brain to everything, then I might as well just say fuck it. I just believe everything, and then there's no reality of anything anymore after that.
Yep, it's like you know, I let myself glom onto this idea that, you know, there's no such thing as a soul, but maybe, you know, mental energy continues on or some shit like that, right? And I let myself believe that for a very long time, and then I got involved with the ghost hunting crew, and I like, oh, see, now we're gonna find evidence. We're gonna find something, right? And years of that, and you know, going to what are supposed to have been very active places. Like we went to very, quote, haunted places here in Canada too, not just the trip down to Louisville. And anything that sort of, quote, happened, when I finally said, look, I have to be brutally honest with myself, there was an explanation for all of it. Right? There was nothing that I couldn't come back and say, like, you know, when you see this funny looking thing on a camera, it's going to be either a light anomaly or dirt or bugs or some shit like that. Because if it was going to be possible to capture this sort of thing through photography. We've had photography for close to 200 years. Somebody would have figured out a fucking way to do it by now, right?
Yeah, photography, I don't trust photography. Back then, it was there was a lot of problems with photography back then. I mean, the plates could be double exposed. It was easy to fuck with shit. And people was like, "Oh, what about Polaroid?" No, there's ways to fuck around with Polaroids too. And then for a long after that, that camera generation died. Then we finally went into like stuff with Photoshop, and suddenly once Photoshop became a thing, then the miracles started happening again. Like, this is called digital editing. We can do that shit. Like they were like, remember? I'm gonna bring up 9/11 for just a moment. There was a picture of the building coming down, and people were saying, "Oh, look at that! There's a devil inside the smoke or face or whatever." Yeah, that was added in later. That shit was all added in later. That would never happened.
I know, it's total bullshit.
Yeah, photographic evidence is pretty weak.
It is.
Somebody put a devil face in Hurricane whatchamacallit last month.
Oh, gee. Right? What is it? If they really want to be convincing, put a picture of a devil's face sucking George Bush's cock.
Well, I think that brings up a good point, and it's something that I found unique, for lack of a better word, is that the whole group think behind religion and behind belief in the paranormal to whatever degree, and even to the truther movements, is that individually these people can't, even the AV movement, they cannot stand alone. And if you notice, when you get into any discussions with these people, more and more trickle in, they have to have that group think behind their ideology. And it's really dangerous, because like I could talk to people one-on-one, and believe it or not, there's quite a few atheists within the paranormal community. I'll say, well, claimed atheists. They say they don't believe in God, but yet they believe in spirits, which I haven't figured that part out. Even now.
They are different things.
Just for a second. All right. Since atheism is just a lack of belief in a God, and Steve and I were going round and round about that earlier before the show started. Yeah. But anyway, the thing is though, you can, because you just have a lack of belief in God, you can literally believe in anything else. You can believe in Loch Ness monsters, you can believe in UFOs, you can believe in
that's what the point I was getting to.
I don't know why you would want to, but you can even believe there's an afterlife.
Yeah. I think you and I both agree, Packard, that just because somebody is an atheist doesn't necessarily mean they're a ontological naturalist.
Right.
You don't have to.
Yeah, and that's what I was driving towards.
That's right.
I think that's one of the points that I still kind of mull over, when I think about it. It's just like, how can you claim atheism, and I use that term loosely, but yet it's one of those cognitive dissonance that's kind of built in, and it's the hardest thing to face too when you're in that situation.
I did it for years as a strong atheist. Like I was always a strong atheist, but somehow I could twist it around. Well, maybe mental energy is a thing, and
it's bizarre.
The idea that gets bandied around that certain stones can record events, and that's what like all of that shit. And I've thought, maybe, but.
Well, I think one of the funniest things I've seen in the last 6 years, there's a meme that's going around, and it's a ghost hunting group. I think that's one of the ones on TV. I can't remember, and they're over in Germany, and they're talking or yelling at or trying to get a ghost to respond. Over in Germany, they are speaking English to a German ghost.
Yes.
Well, if you're dead, you know all languages.
Well, suddenly, when you die, you can suddenly understand all languages. Suddenly.
That when we went to Louisville, we did research on the patients that were in this tuberculosis hospital, and we found several nationalities that would have been, immigrants in the area and whatnot. And we actually went and did a recording of people asking the questions in those languages. So at least we were smart enough to try that shit. Now, didn't get us anything of note, but at least we were cognizant of that kind of stupidity.
I don't even have a problem with people doing in the past scientific investigation into paranormal claims from two groups. One, the group that actually wants to debunk it. I think that's a legit one. But if you think that it's paranormal and you want to do scientific investigation, I don't take an issue about it. I don't think that's crazy. However, after how many decades of people doing it, and we've got Bumpkiss, move on.
My biggest complaint is the shows that have the big budgets, and they always, they'll do they'll be doing something and they'll say, oh, look at that, and the camera didn't catch it. Okay, with the budget you have, if the budget you have and you're looking at, like something called table tipping, right? So it's the idea that a table is going to rise and flip around because a ghost did it. Why the fuck is there never a camera under the goddamn table?
Well,
ever.
Yourself, TV. These are all staged things. I mean, George Wars wasn't real, for God's sake, and I like that show.
Yeah.
You debunked a lot of that shit when he was alive.
Exactly.
And the thing is, I think the reason why I think a lot of these ghost shows is that people because they are so besides their lives are so mundane, they just want to believe in something else that's stronger than they are, bigger than they are. For the simple fact is that they just don't understand the world around them completely. So they're like, there's got to be something there, otherwise I'm not. There's no relevance for me being here otherwise, and they can't feel like they have to feel like they're relevant to the whole universe. The universe fucking doesn't care about you.
Yeah,
right, I mean, how can they watch that show? It's horrible. It's horrible.
Don't even get me going on her.
She's so bad at it, though. I mean, she's not even good at cold reading. She's wretched.
No,
do you guys know Ron Tebow? Ever heard of him?
Which one are you talking about? Budo?
Ron Tebow. He does a lot of debunking.
I thought you said TiVo. I thought
Tebow. He's been around the community for a long time on the outskirts. I used to be on his channel and debunking things with Lisa Caruso with him, and we found some interesting things. She's a complete charlatan. Absolutely, I could demonstrate it.
Yeah, she's got lawsuits up the ass right now.
I missed who you're talking about, though.
Lisa Caputo.
Teresa Caputo. Okay, that's
complete. There was no way she knows. See, what you had mentioned before, you said some people actually believe their own bullshit. Those are called shut eyes. Orson Welles kind of coined the term for a person who cold read it so well they actually believe they actually developed a power or had a power, and they're called shut eyes. Well, Teresa Caputo is not one of those. She knows she's full of shit. She's complicit across the board. I'm telling you right here now.
Yeah, there are those people too that they know that they're full of shit, and they just don't care.
I know some.
Yeah.
There was a guy.
Psychopaths. Those are psychopaths.
There was a guy at the psychic fair who he purported to be able to tell your fortune from reading your hair.
And your hair?
I read boobs.
What is he doing?
I can read your fortune by boobs.
You have no hair.
I think if I got my hands on your boobs, I could read your fortune. I'm probably gonna go home with you tonight.
You got far off because we were convinced that this guy, he was really, really creepy, and we were convinced that he had a hair fetish and that this was his way of getting paid to fondle people's hair, usually women.
Yeah, you've got a hair fetish.
There's actually a guy. I'm sorry to interrupt. There was actually a guy who's this was a number of years ago. He said that he would be able to read people's fortunes by touching their ass. I kid you not. And the thing was, you couldn't send in a photograph because the guy is blind. So you actually have to make an appointment and have him go and touch your ass, and he could read your fortune by touching your ass.
Sounds legit to me.
Sure his name wasn't Donald Trump and he was grabbing for something?
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't the pussy grabber. This was a number of years ago before the pussy grabber shit came out. So.
If he loses, maybe that could be a side option for him. He could be a psychic pussy grabber.
Let me grab your pussy. I'll tell you your fortune. Oh, that's all.
How to get in politics in there somewhere down the line, didn't we?
I know. Well, that part, that's not too terrible to talk about. And we're coming near the end soon, anyway. But
Fuck it, Trump!
now we got about 10 minutes left. So is there anything else you guys want to talk about besides Trump?
Astrophysics?
Okay, I don't know about astrophysics, but sure.
No, I have no idea. This was a good hangout. I appreciate being invited to it.
I appreciate you inviting me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Same here. Thank you.
Do you have anything you want to yap about, Ranger? I know you've been a bit quiet there.
Yeah. Oh, no problem. I'm usually quiet anyway. But not really. As far as the ghost thing goes, I think one of my favorite comedians, John Capriolo, said it the best. That these ghost shows have got to be the easiest shows in the world to fucking produce because there's nothing fucking there.
Yeah.
And
the lowest budget on the air.
And here's the thing: even if a ghost was in my house, I'd honestly be relieved because if I were to wake up, like I want to wake up to like a genuine threat if someone.
You don't want to see me standing in the foot of your bed. Trust me.
No. I would much rather have wake up to G-Man standing over me with a fucking machete than a fucking ghost.
Asking you, where's the safe? Where's the safe?
Oh, wait. There's one that's even better than that. There's an even lower production one than that. This is a number of years ago. Someone was doing the Bigfoot videos. There was like a Bigfoot or something. It's like this guy. I saw these clips on YouTube. It's like, yeah, we got this pizza here. Oh, Sasquatch, they love the pizza. It's like, and he's like eating the pizza like on air. It's like, how much fucking lower budget than you got than there? It's like, yeah, I'm gonna put out a food that I like, and I'm gonna claim this unknown animal or creature that has not been proven to exist likes this particular thing. How do you know this? How do you know this? Please. Demonstrate how you know that.
Like caviar, lobster tails, and tiramisu. That's that.
Yeah.
You know, that's what.
Show me his takeout order. Show me his history of buying pizza at the pizza parlor. Jesus Christ!
Well,
we need a pound of Beluga caviar for him.
Yeah.
There's an article I put out the other day.
Go with it.
Go ahead.
There was an article I put out the other day about Bigfoot. It was out of Arizona, and I guess one of the, I don't know, I can't remember who he may have been a professor, and the university actually paid out, I think it was like $7,700 for a Bigfoot expedition.
Oh,
so they basically went out in the
And where is he hiding in Arizona? There's no trees in Arizona. The fucking place is goddamn desert. There's scrub brush. He's gonna hide behind a goddamn rabbit.
Yeah. The theory is the reason why he's so elusive is that these bands of Bigfoot migrate according to the season, so you'll find them not too far from. We've actually had the Bigfoot show about 45 minutes from where I live in Pennsylvania during the summer months. During the spring months, he'll be down in like Arizona area, and then in Seattle. So they migrate according to the season.
No, the reason.
And you see him out on the road hitchhiking the way to Florida.
The reason why Bigfoot the reason why Bigfoot is so elusive is because he doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's that obvious.
There, Steve. You blew my mind.
It's like the one cryptid that, besides Loch Ness, that we have more theories about their habitats and where they live, but we have absolutely no evidence.
Hold on.
People are still and they have conferences on this. This is the sad thing, is they have conferences on Bigfoot. Okay, go ahead.
Right, hold on a second. They did find Loch Ness. It turned out it was a movie prop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that.
It's not. It was somebody just happened to see a movie prop, and they were filming a movie, and that fucking thing sank, and they just fucking left it there. They found it. It's just a movie prop. There's no animal. It's just that.
Well, Packard, you were talking about the Bigfoot hitchhiking. Do you know that story?
What's that?
Do you know the Bigfoot hitchhiking story?
No, I was just making it up on the fly. I didn't.
when I met Aaron Raw, he told the story about how he literally was mistaken for Bigfoot because he was trying to hitchhike while wearing a Bigfoot furry coat.
Oh my God!
He doesn't need a coat. He looks like Bigfoot.
I know, but he happened to be wearing a fur coat at the time.
He's a big dude.
He's not as big as you would think. He isn't, actually. He's not super tall. He's only like 6 feet tall.
That's pretty tall with his stature and his
That's
hair.
pretty tall. 6 foot is.
He told us that story a couple of times, and yeah.
Did anybody pick him up along the way? Hi, I'm Bigfoot. Here's my ID.
I think he got a ride after he took the coat off.
Wait, there's one on the side of the road. Let me hit.
I'd be like, hey, that's Oren. Let's go get him. It's Oren Raw. Hey, come on, jump on in. We talk about phylogeny.
Yep.
Well, you guys remember the story about the guy, I forgot where, I want to say upper Northwest, who was actually killed because he was dressed up as a Bigfoot. And somebody shot
that
him.
doesn't surprise me. That does not surprise me.
Yeah, it was like 2-3 years ago.
You know what the most explanations for Bigfoots are? Bears.
Yeah.
Because bears can walk on their hind legs. Most people don't know this, but they can walk on their hind legs. They do this to try to scare all the prey away.
Or if you live in PA, it's a fucking tree tipped over.
A who? A what?
A tree root.
A tree root. Yeah, that's probably.
Well, Bradford's about an hour from where I am, and there was a sighting in, I want to say, the Queehana State Park, which is not too far from here. And someone took a photo from the road, and if you look closely, although I said it was a tree root from the beginning, it didn't look anything like Bigfoot to me. And everybody was saying it was Bigfoot. So one investigator actually went out and found the tree root and figured out by the camera, by the photo, where this person stood, and took the same photograph and came up with the exact same results. That was our claim to fame for Bigfoot around here.
Fun fact: there is a city in Illinois named Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I've driven through it.
I know something named Saskatchewan. Sasquatch.
Saskatchewan. We have a whole fucking province called Saskatchewan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Sasquatch. Sasquatchian.
But we also have a town named Vulcan, which I think is pretty.
We have a town in Wisconsin called Spread Eagle. I'm just saying.
We also have Dildo, Newfoundland.
We also have Embarrass, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Lincoln, Delaware.
What's that, Delaware? What was that one?
Lincoln.
I've heard of Bumfuck Egypt. Does that really exist?
Yeah, actually it does.
There's also a Hell, Michigan.
I don't think so.
It's inside a mosque somewhere, I think. I don't know. Well, gentlemen, we're coming up on the end of the show here. So, again, thank you all for coming and join us on such short notice. We really appreciate it. And we're going to go through and give everybody a chance to pimp their shows and everything again. So, Steve, we'll start with you. Where can everybody find you?
I noticed you were gracious enough to put my YouTube link in your video comment thing. You can find me in the Great Debate community. I'm the owner of it, I guess. And also the host. We do hangouts 3-4 times a week. We talk about everything from, creationism to evolution to, intelligent design. And we basically just have people come in and run arguments. But it used to be more competitive and more people that actually really wanted to come in and have, really in-depth conversations. It's kind of shied away from that. So, don't feel intimidated if you're not really big on wanting to be argumentative or something like that. Just come on in, talk. But you can find me at Steve McRae on YouTube or Google Plus, and subscribe to me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I have links to your YouTube in the description as well. All right, and Packard, where can we find you?
You can find me everywhere. Just type in Packard Sonic, you'll find me. You type in Packard Pokes at. That's not ass, by the way. That's at. Again, if you're looking at Packard Pokes ass, that's a porn channel. We have nothing to do with them.
I've been watching that for the last 2 hours, actually.
I noticed that. You were getting a little hot over there. I noticed saw you sweating a few times.
doesn't take much at my age. What do you want?
Oh, true enough. And the other, I have another podcast. It's called The Atheists. That's with an S. There's a link in the description, but it's missing an S. So it's The Atheists, the Bible, and No Wardrobe. We do it completely buck-ass naked. Well, I do it anyway. So, but because like I say in my in my commercial, I say clothes are flammable, and I don't want to burst into flames while I'm reading the Bible. So
awesome. Yes, I do have those links. I'll fix the S later there, Packard.
Thank you very much.
No problem. And Ranger, where do we find you at?
You can find me on my YouTube and my Facebook. My Facebook is on my YouTube page, Atheist Ranger. I normally do hangouts. I will eventually get off my butt and do the occasional video. And most of my hangouts, you can ask Steve and Packard here. They're usually just open topics, except for my Sunday ones. For my Sunday hangouts, I usually try to have a topic. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm all about. And like, comment, and subscribe, because my new goal for my channel is 200.
Excellent. And who are you going to be talking with very soon?
Oh yes, thank you. It's not on my channel, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be on the Atheist Republic channel this Friday at 3 p.m. Central Time for anyone who's on the East Coast, which is where I'm at. That'd be 4 p.m. And we will be talking with none other than David Silverman, president of the American Atheist. And we'll be talking with... Yep, we'll be talking with him about a variety of things.
Can I get one more quick plug?
Yes, of course, Pat.
Okay, thank you very much. I do my show every Friday except for maybe on some holidays, every Friday night at vaughnlive.tv/PackardPokes at 9 p.m. Central Time, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, and 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Of course, if you're in Mountain Time, remember to shut the lights off because you're the only one there. So
awesome. And Beth, where can we find you?
Easiest way is on Twitter at Dune998. That connects to my two blogs, one of which is kind of sort of on hiatus, but I now have one called I Science Do You, which is basically dealing with medical woo, specifically anti-vaxxers. They're assholes, as I noted earlier. And that connects to my Facebook is Beth A. Hambridge, and I welcome pretty much anybody, except
awesome.
Ace.
And also, you can find me on Sunday mornings at 12:05 a.m. on Holy Crap, the vlogcast.
Holy crap!
Holy crap!
Holy crap!
Our panel of somewhere between 5 to 8 of us, depending on who's available. We're international. We have folks from France and England, a bunch of Americans, and a couple of us Canucks. So we talk about whatever our host, the Shujin Tribble, wants to talk about.
They're not coneheads pretending to be from France, are they? France, we come from France.
No, actually, my Frenchie is actually an expat Canadian, so I know that. So
wait, if you become a next Canadian, do you have to have anything removed? I'm just curious.
No, not really, because we already are
fig leaf removed. The fig leaf has to be pulled out of the ass.
Maybe the polite gene gets pulled out. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But we talk every Sunday morning at 12:05, and the reason it's 12:05 a.m. is to compete with Coast to Coast Radio, which is Radio Woo Factory. So we like to.
They are woo. They are definitely woo.
Yes. So we like to try and give them people something else besides the Woo Factory to listen to. Also next week, as I say, our guest from tonight, Matt Kovacs, he should be back on his feet after a bout of the flu, and we will talk about all things Jesus not existing, mythicist, and his great new documentary coming out, and we're quite looking forward to that. And again, I hope he has a speedy recovery. Also, too, as we like to do every week, is tell everybody about the Taylor Scholarship at the Whitefields Educational Foundation. Whitefields Educational Foundation is out of Utah, and they provide counseling services for people who are leaving religion. And Taylor Scholarship provides funds for people who need that counseling but perhaps can't afford it. It was started by David Michael from my Book of Mormon podcast, and that is why. The URL is whitefieldseducational.org/My Book of Mormon podcast. So if you feel so inclined, they would love to have your donation to help people who need counseling but can't afford it. It's a great cause. And I think that about does it for this week. And as I say, we'll be back next week talking with Matt Kovacs and about his new documentary about the historicity of Jesus. So until then, we will leave you. And I tested it. It should be fucking working this week. We will leave you with our dear friend Dave Foda's Only Creed for Humankind, and we will see you all here next week. Oh, and don't forget, speaking of Dave Foda, on the 12th, we are having our first ever special debate on Beyond the Trailer Park with Foda and a young fellow by the name of Wyatt Mickus, who apparently is a really chummy friend of Ken Hovind. They're going to debate presuppositionalism and to do with knowledge. The event link is out. I'm going to start promoting it more this week too, and that's going to be at 10 p.m. on Saturday, November the 12th. So mark that on your calendar. It's going to be a fucking awesome time. Until next week then, Dave will talk us out, and we'll see you all next week.
I know the truth and power of reason and of rational thinking, and I will use them to my advantage. I know the truth. And I will do so whenever the opportunity presents itself. I know the truth and power of morality without supervision, and of true and accurate righteousness. I know the truth and power of obliterating tyranny, be it intellectual, emotional, or philosophical, and will work toward that goal whenever and however possible. I know the truth and power of human ingenuity. I know the truth and power of human compassion, and I will be mindful of the welfare of others. I know the truth and power of equality and fairness for all living things. I know the truth and power of the importance of our families, our friends, and our fellow men and women. I know the truth and power of human stewardship of our lands, our waters, and our skies, and I will try to act to preserve our environment. I know the truth and power of the sciences of mathematics, of physics, and of chemistry, and of the important role of these disciplines in understanding the workings of this cosmos. I know the truth and power of the rejection of all notions or beliefs that reside in the supernatural or the superstitious, and of those notions or beliefs that we are not supposed to be able to explain. And I know that these rejections are necessary for humankind's survival. I am a human being with a free mind, liberated from irrational influence and from unreasonable dogma.